Hello, everyone. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my own positionality through this video, which I will try to keep short. And then afterwards, I will be uploading a quick statement of positionality for a particular paper that I wrote addressing a policy issue, which also takes into account the positionality statement that I'm currently sharing in this video. And at the end, I'll also walk you through how I would like for you to do that in an assignment due before we work on next week's content. So we've started an online discussion at this point, which talks about some of our reactions to the Laverne Cox and Brene Brown interview. And so that is meant to sort of stimulate your thinking around issues of inequality and privilege. And so, as somebody who engages in critical policy analysis, these are themes that are essential to the policy work that we do. So I'd like to talk a little bit about my own personal positionality writ large and how that sort of shapes the types of things that I'm interested in looking at in policy. And I hope that that inspires you to share with me kind of your research interests and where you're going and how you reconcile your own identity with the type of research that you might want to do or the particular policy problem or that you're interested in exploring further in this class. So for me, I see education as both a marginalizing power and a privilege. And I realize now on this slide that I have "and" written twice. But what I've created here is a family tree, which includes really my most immediate family. So in the center are my parents, and the first row are my grandparents. So I'll kind of go through and share a little bit about how I see this fitting in. So this here is my grandmother, Joaquina Piu, and she's 96 and she has successfully survived the coronavirus. I think I shared that with you all in the first week of class. And so she has no formal education. She was born in Portugal and she immigrated here when she was in her 40s in 1971, I believe was the year. And after her husband, my late grandfather, passed away. He also has no formal education, and I do not have an image of him to share, unfortunately. He passed away when my mother was 9. So in Portugal, at the time, the country was under dictatorship, under the Salazar regime, and so compulsory education was not a policy that was in place or a law. Only people who got formal education were the wealthy or the elites. And my family in Portugal certainly did not fall in either of those categories. These two folks flanking my husband and I on our wedding day are my paternal grandparents, and so neither of them have well, actually my grandfather on the left hand side, if you're looking at the screen, has no formal education, and my grandmother as an adult basically bought herself a 4th grade education by attending school in Portugal for adults to learn how to read and write. So she is the only one of my grandparents who is literate in her native language. Next, we have my gorgeous parents, and my mother finished high school, and she's one of the only people of her peers to finish high school. She immigrated to the U.S. when she was 9 years old, and my father I shouldn't say the word dropped out because I don't like that word, but I guess that's the only real way to put it, is that he stopped attending school in the ninth or 10th grade, and he came to the United States when he was 13. So he does not have any education beyond ninth grade. My mother finished high school. And then my brother and I are the first generation to be born in the United States, which is a relevant positionality. I think it's important. It means something in 2020 to be the child of immigrants. I think that that's an important distinction to make. And I also want to say that there is a privilege that comes with being a first generation person who has more proximity to Europe. So obviously Portugal is in Europe, so we have a little bit more proximity to whiteness than, say, someone who immigrates to the US from Latin America. And so there are both marginalizing and privileging tensions at play in that positionality. So my brother has a BS, and of course I have a PhD, as you all know. So I think that this is kind of a really powerful representation of my own positionality as it intersects with education and also, citizenship status, because of the research that I do, or in this particular project where I will share my positionality statement with you all. I was examining a school that predominantly served low-income students of color that were also first gen like myself, and some of them were English language learners. So while I am bilingual, I was not labeled an English language learner in school, but my parents were. So I'm, they've shared a lot of experiences with me that they had in school as children, coming to the United States, not speaking English, and being sort of thrown into schools. So my proximity to that experience, although it's not firsthand experience, definitely brings some emotion and some passion to examining some of the marginalizing effects that school policies may have on students that are highly concentrated in certain settings, right? And so the school where I collected data for my dissertation was 94% Latinx, and it had a predominant population that was ELL as well. Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a moment, and I will start back up in a second once I show you how I would like for you to talk about your positionality. Okay, folks, so what you're going to do to complete your positionality statement is in the week 2 module, you will click on positionality, topic idea, and book choice, and you'll click there. You're going to see in this section, if you can see my cursor, you'll see the video that I'm actually recording right now. I will place that there. But then here are the instructions for uploading your video or audio recording. Alternatively, you can write your positionality statement. So I've here written a paragraph that describes some of the information that I've already shared with you, and also why I'm particularly interested in studying the topic that I studied. And so this was a positionality statement that was actually published in a paper. And so I'd like for you to do something like that. You don't have to write it. You can upload an audio of you talking about it or a video if you'd like. And let me show you how to do that. So if you click on Submit Assignment, you can choose a file and you can upload a Word file if you want. You can do a text entry. So if you just rather write it, you can write it. Or you can click media, and if you click record and upload media, oh look, there I am. So you could record. I think you might be able to turn off no video. So there you go. If you just wanted to record your voice, you can do that. And so I want to offer this to you as an opportunity to engage in different types of assignment submission, I guess, because, sometimes when people have to write something, they think it needs to be perfectly polished. And so I just kind of want to hear you talk through how you position yourself within the topic that you're interested in looking at. And then in addition to that, I'd also like for you to please tell me which book you would like to read that you think relates to the topic that you might be interested in studying, and why. So if you could tell me a little bit about that, that'd be great. So you could upload that. You can upload a text entry. Alternatively, you can upload a file, insert media. You could upload a video or an audio that you've recorded outside of Canvas as well. Okay, great. So I think that's all the instructions for now, and stay tuned for information coming from me about the critical policy analysis readings that we're doing for this week.